Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
This podcast is brought to you by the Jefferson County Department of Health. Hello everyone, this is Jarvis S. Scott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure and welcome back, second time. I know you all probably seen in my earlier video, he was a COVID-19 survivor. Thank God he said he survived. You can tell with the camera. Jay Johnson, he is the president and CEO of College Prep U. Jay, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks so much for having me, Jarvis.
Great. So I want to finally bring him on because I feel like I love the business that you're doing. This is a very unique business, great service I feel like people definitely need in the community. It's called College Prep U, which help families and people that's looking to get for the college process.
Yep, helps them navigate the college admission process.
Yeah, college admission process. So, I know you was on the podcast first time. Kind of do the first little intro bio real quick.
Yeah, no problem. So, Jay Johnson, I am the president and CEO of College Prep U. I built this business in 2017 to help students and their families navigate the whole college admission process. I've worked in higher ed for over 7 years, have a corporate background, but now I get a chance to combine both my love for business as well as college, higher ed, and the college admission process, and that's what College Prep U came from.
So what specific services do you offer?
Yeah, so we offer everything from admission advising, test prep, scholarship search. We do a career assessment for students to help them figure out what career matches their personality. We help them, we set up tours for them, we find some enrichment camps for them. You name it, anything that deals with that. We now also added workforce development into that, talent retention to keep students here in the city or at least in the state to work with local companies. So, we are the driving factor for the student whole, like just overall.
Yeah, because more I think about this, and you all think, I'm kind of, when I graduated from high school 20 years ago, don't be fooled by this face, and thank God I still got hair. The college admission process was not quite like this. I remember going to just like a college fair and going to the guidance counselor maybe the senior year and I don't know what I want to do, and work through but I feel like you broke this thing down to a science that's almost like it's almost like a 4-year plan.
Yeah. But
we're going to get to that for a minute. But how has your business adjusted during COVID-19 with all that was going on?
Yeah, so of course, we model, the school districts, and work with students. So any students that came in here, we did abide by all CDC regulations. Mm-hmm. Good thing that we are somewhat, I guess, considered essential, because the government didn't come close us up. So I guess we don't have that category yet where they were looking at independent college admission counselors. But ultimately, it actually didn't do bad. Instead of seeing students in person, we saw them, via virtually, so on Zoom or Google Teams or any other platform that allows us to see them. But most importantly, we had more students that got into school. Our scholarship total amount almost doubled from the year before, and so a high acceptance rate, high scholarship rates. It was great. Even the test scores went up as well. So we actually thrived during COVID-19.
Yeah, and I can see this has actually became a competitive. It's always been competitive, but a competitive process that I won't even want to ask you because it's what's the average cost now of college, 4 years?
Oh yeah, so if it's in-state, let's say here in Alabama, the average cost of a public 4-year institution is roughly about $28,000 a year. That's pretty much that's tuition, housing, books, fees, things of that nature. You got some schools that may be smaller, private, that may come right at around 22, 23, and you got some schools that go all the way up to close to $50,000 a year.
Okay, so for you parents that's watching my podcast, I went on this website, great website, and he breaks down step 1, step 2, step 3, and I'm just going to ask him about this because I feel like every one of these things is in the right order.
Yeah.
So I guess you had step 1. You talked about standardized testing, financial aid, scholarships, completing applications, college list development. Yeah. So why is it in that order right there?
Yeah, so basically it kind of helps students everything works on a timeline, you know, when you're looking at going to college. And so, you know, I always tell a parent when they ask me how soon do we start working with students, we start working with students as early as 6th, 7th grade.
Oh, okay.
And so, but once they get in high school and you're looking at, you know, like what should we start doing first? Well, of course, you know, you want to develop a college list. You know, you want to understand, okay, these are the schools that your scholar may want to go to, and then we start breaking that list down from there. Then we look at the cost, so that goes into financial aid. You know, even household incomes that may exceed $250,000 should do a financial aid report, especially if their kid are looking to go to any selective schools or whatever. It does not hurt any student to do financial aid. They may not get it, but it doesn't mean it should not be completed. And so we want to make sure that that step is never missed. You know, and then when it comes to just really just understanding the standardized test prep, like they're going to start taking the ACT. The biggest misconception is that most students wait until their junior year where the school offers it for them to take the test. Man, we encourage the students to take it as early as 9th grade. You know, so in the 9th grade, you can do 1 year. That following June, take the ACT. You know, and that way you can. That kid has no pressure. You know, the only thing the scholar want to do is just finish the test. So once they finish the test, we get the results, we can see where they are, then we know how to help them out. We can say, okay, great, we can take them test prep. So their 10th grade year, take it 2 or 3 times, 11th grade year, take it every time they can. So that way their 12th grade year, they don't have to take it as much. The worst thing you can do for a student that's in 12th grade is have them take the ACT as much as possible because their back is against the wall and they're concerned about if the score is going to help them get in, if the score is going to help them get scholarship money, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's just pressure. But if you have them take it, you know, before then, it'd be fine. A student can take an ACT or SAT at least 12 times.
Wow, and I also see, I can speak, that can alleviate test anxiety.
Absolutely.
As well, because if you're in the 12th grade and you're trying to say, I got to get this score, and you can possibly just bomb it and just be like, at least if you took it a couple of years before, you're like, okay, I've seen this, you know, strategy and things before. What's the average ACT score of some of these, you know, schools, like, I'm not going to say if you're going to Alabama or Auburn or you're going up to Snowfield. What's the average ACT score?
I think, I mean, if a student can get like a 23, 24, they pretty much can get into any school in the state, you know, with a GPA that's a 3 or above. Okay. You know, so that's kind of how it goes. And so think of it like a seesaw almost. When you look at a GPA and standardized test score, you know, your higher your GPA is, the more leeway you may have at some schools on your ACT. The higher your ACT score, the more leeway you may have on your GPA, but you kind of want it to level out. So typically, an average, a student with at least a 3.4 GPA and at least a 23 on the ACT will get into most schools here and probably get some money. Okay. So now you got into like the step 2 process where you said decision guidance, campus visits, the essays, personal statements, and the academic profile enhancement. So what do you do with the decision guidance? So like, you know, I always tell a student that come work with us that, you know, my prayer for them is that when it's time for them to make their decision, they have so many opportunities that they lose sleep at night trying to figure out which school to go to. And so we do our due diligence because most students make that decision based off emotions. It's hardly ever business. You know, like, are my friends going there? You know, I like their colors. I grew up supporting their football team, basketball team, whatever it is. My parents went there. My favorite teacher went there. And so we want them to literally remove the emotion, make it a business decision, do their due diligence, find out what traditions they have, what are their graduation percentages, what are the freshman to sophomore retention rate, you know, or even better yet, if a student goes into a certain major or discipline at the school, what is the percentage of students who graduate within 4 to 5 years from that discipline? What is the percentage of students who get a job from that discipline? What is the percentage of students who go into grad school from that discipline? So that way they can look at the numbers. They can look at the numbers and see how it can be for them instead of what they like about it. So when it comes down to helping them decide what school ultimately they want to go to, we are literally looking at their list of acceptance letters, and we're saying, okay, great, what makes this school stand out? What you know, what do you need? What do you want? And what are you willing to compromise? And then we go ahead and you know, get rid of the X factors, and then we are able to pinpoint the right school. Oh, I like that because you doing like it's almost like they're making the first business decision. It is. And I like that they have to make it 16, 17, 18, but I also like how you kind of break it down to the parents that they looking at it too, because like you said, you got to remove emotion
out of it, because a lot of times people want to go to college, and like if it's a certain sports team or something they support all their life, but does it add up, and is that sports team or that school giving you the money where the other school would give you the money?
Right.
So when it goes to like essays and personal statements, you work with them on kind of crafting a couple of those.
Absolutely.
Different.
I think the biggest fear of students why they don't apply for scholarships is because, the essay component, some of them just flat out just don't want to write it, which is fine. I understand that, but they're also afraid of just being told no. And, when you're looking at essays, it's a competitive thing. So like, we have a team that works with students, between myself, my staff, or, I will outsource. I have a writing specialist that I will outsource for some of the more tougher essays that students need to write for, like the more extensive essays. And so, but that goes hand in hand. And the good thing is once you build that student's confidence up in their essay writing ability, then they'll apply for as many essays.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so, and it's a law average game.
Okay.
The more essays they apply, the more scholarships they apply for, the better chance they have, of getting one.
Okay.
But if you take that one child who applies to one scholarship and write that one essay, they got a 50-50 chance of getting that one or not, opposed to that one who have applied to at least 100. They may get 2 or 3 from there, but it helps them out. And then personal statements, some schools require that, especially if you have different platforms like Common App, which is a platform that's utilized for colleges to help students house all the applications in. So essentially they can list all the schools they want to apply to, see all the curriculum all on this one platform and apply for them without having to re-put all the information. So that Common App usually requires them to put some sort of a personal statement in, even though it may be optional for some of the schools they apply to, but for ones that are required, they'll have it.
Okay, and like the last step, I see you talk about letters of recommendations, the college interview, the career and assessment, then the transition support. I want to touch on the letters of recommendation.
Yes.
For the viewers that are watching, what type of letters of recommendation should people get, like the students should get at this stage?
It should be stellar. It got to be a stellar letter of recommendation. They can't say, oh, I like Jarvis, he's a good student. He come and he get A's in my class. That does not show, it doesn't speak to who you are. Like you want, that recommender to be that person who's going to write an amazing letter that's going to talk about everything that you've done because they're speaking to a committee of individuals who don't know you. Okay. And you have to understand, like, your kid can have the highest GPA, the highest ACT score, they can have everything, but there are other kids who are out there who have the same thing. So when you put everything on one row, something has to stand out. So I'll give you an example. Let's say if we're riding down the street and we're hungry, and there are we was like, hey, we're just gonna grab something quick. So we look at McDonald's. No shout out to me. No plugs. But we're gonna look at McDonald's. Okay. And then there are 5 McDonald's all on one side of the road. How do we choose which one to go to?
Oh, okay.
Like which one? How do we know which one? So then we start looking at the different factors. Okay, great. So what is the population of this McDonald's? This one has a long drive-through line. Okay. Is it easier to get into as far as like more accessible from the street? Does the color pop? Does this one have one arc that's out? Where the light is out. So that's kind of how it looks to a college admission committee. When they look at all these different applications, they'll have a ton of kids who have 4.0 GPAs, 30s on the ACT. But what helped them stand out? Well, that letter of recommendation, can be the deciding factor of what makes your kid get accepted or not get accepted.
All right, I don't know why this always comes in my head. It's like somebody who's watching this podcast, and I'm thinking like, okay, can I use your service if my GPA is below 3.0?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like we work with students, no matter what their GPAs are. Okay. Every student has an opportunity. It doesn't matter, if they are going to graduate with the lowest GPA or they are going to get a GED. It does not matter. If they have a desire to go into the workforce, to go into college, to whatever it is, we can help them out, period. We've never worked with a student and recommended colleges for them to apply to and they have not gotten in. Okay. As far as like with your state schools, your local private schools, now your selective schools, which are like, your top tier schools, like your Harvard, Yale, different type of percentage. Okay. But if we recommend a student to go to a local public school, we have already done the due diligence to see, okay, based off this GPA, this ACT, you can get in. So if you have a 2.5 GPA, you can still get into this school. Now, we may not be, realistically, your kid may not get that much money or if any money, but they can get in, but we can still work out ways to help them find different sources of funding for schools. And the biggest misconception is that most students and parents think that if their kid does not get money graduated from high school going to college, that they will die in debt. That's not it at all.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up.
It's more money available for existing college students than there ever will be for high school students.
Okay.
So when you talk about when you hear people say, "Oh, you're leaving billions of dollars on the table," that money is for the existing college students. So just to kind of paint a visual, think about like right now we're getting ready to go into the college football playoffs, right? Yeah. And so one of my favorite parts about these games is during the halftime with the Dr. Pepper and the kids are throwing the ball.
Yeah, throwing the football. I saw that. Yeah.
Man, I tear up every time I see it. I get so emotional. Like I just put this publicly and don't laugh at me, but I do. Okay. So every time I see it, I tear up. Because, this money, this tuition is changing people's lives. Not once have you ever seen a high school student out there compete. They're always college students that are doing it. So they may be in their sophomore, their junior year, and they're getting $100,000. They're getting $25,000 for second place, and that money can go towards the rest of their year. If they owe a loan, it can go back to paying that loan. It can go towards their next level of school, grad school, whatever it is. But those are for college students. So it's just like that. There's more money available for existing college students than there ever will be for high school.
And the thing, too, I like how you brought out earlier in the interview, too, that just because, like, say, for instance, even if you make a household income over $250,000, or they love to throw out firstborn, first household, you still qualify for certain things,
Absolutely.
That you don't have to. Because a lot of times people say, well, a lot of this money's out here if this the first person in our household and the parents didn't go and things like that. And that's why I really like how you brought that earlier.
So real quick, so it's more like just to kind of break down the scholarship Christmas tree, right? Okay. So low hanging fruit, which the bottom of the tree would be your merit-based scholarships. These are the scholarships that the school provide based upon their grid. They'll say if you got this GPA, this ACT, it matches up, you get this amount of money. If you go to the next level of that Christmas tree, then you'll look at pretty much your endowment scholarships, where companies, alumni have given to that school, and they'll say, hey, we want to support these kids who want to go into this major, or they are from this area. Those are another level, but you have to be admitted in order to get the endowment scholarships as well. So then the next level would be once that kid is already in college, then you have your departmental scholarships, where they can go to their discipline or their major and see what scholarships are available for them in their major. And then, of course, the star, the top of the tree, which everyone always sees and talks about, is the external scholarships. Those are the ones where you buy like the different books, you go to the different websites, all that stuff to apply to. So because, and when you look at a Christmas tree, the star is the first thing that most people always look at. So that's the one that draws the most attention. So the external scholarships is all that you hear people talking about, for the simple fact that they always say you can go and do a search and you can find scholarships if you are first generation or if you have a medical condition or whatever it is, but these are the ones that it's a plethora out there. So when you are looking at that scholarship Christmas tree, just understand, low-hanging fruit is what we thrive for once they get out of high school. But once they get out of high school, they have access to the other three levels.
Oh, yeah, that retention is the most important thing, because so many people, they get this scholarship money, and then that first year is like the brick wall. Yeah. Like people say, if you can make it past the first year in college, you make the second, third, fourth, and maybe even graduate. Is there anything out in the scholarship they're doing out just due to COVID-19?
I'm sure there may be some out there. We haven't done a specific search for it. Okay. But I'm sure, I can see down the road there are going to be organizations that pop up that says, hey, we want to offer this, or I bet yet there are scholarships and it's I'm gonna say yes. But it's tailored differently. So when you see Amazon or Walmart saying that, hey, we're doing tuition for all our employees, like full tuition scholarships and stuff like that for them, that is in result of COVID-19. You didn't hear too much of that beforehand. It wasn't necessarily, publicized. A lot of big corporations did tuition reimbursement, but to this level now when they say, hey, we'll pay your tuition because of the fact that you work here, or like Publix or other grocery stores, that is a result, I believe that's a result of COVID, but that's my personal opinion.
All right. So for somebody that's watching this video and you never really thought about this particular type of service you do, what should be some things people should look for? What you do and what's some things people should not look for when people say, well, I could,
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest, thing to look for, or I'm just going to say flag, it's not even a red flag, it's a flag, is understanding that, the high school counselors are overworked. Okay. They're overworked. Like, you're talking about one or two individuals that may have hundreds of students that they got to report to. And so I know as parents, we like to rely on them to do so much, that they should handle this. But right now they can't. It's impossible. Like even the most organized person cannot, sit with a student and go over their whole college curriculum. So just to throw a crazy stat out there, they say that over the course of 4 years, that a high school student will spend a total of 38 minutes going over college readiness with their counselor.
Oh, wow.
38 minutes. We spend close to 40 hours with them. Wow. And so, we're talking, it's just a different type of time that we have. And so, I love the high school counselors because, a good bit of them are just overworked, and they do the best they can with everything that's on their plate. So that's one thing. One, you have to understand that the high school counselor cannot do everything that you need, that needs to be done for college readiness for your scholar. Okay. Secondly, you want to understand the process. So like when you talked about when we applied to school, over 20 years ago, it was like paper application, take your senior picture, staple it, send it through the mail. Mm-hmm. A kid can now apply on their phone. A kid can apply to 5 colleges on their cell phone now. So it's completely different. So the admission trends have changed. So parents who may not know the admission trends, it can be very it can be very daunting. It can be scary, because you don't really know. So that's when a lot of parents divert back to their alma mater if they went to school. They say, hey, I want you to go to the school that I went to because I know people that probably work there. Yeah. I'm familiar with this. Okay. But no, we have to understand that admission trends are real, and we have to keep up with the times with them. So when you come and work with a company like myself, that's what we do. Our whole goal is to keep up with the admission trends. So throughout the summertime, we're contacting the schools. We're joining different organizations. We're sitting on the boards, the high school advisory boards of these institutions, so that way we can understand what is going to be new for the upcoming class, and we can advise them based off that. Some things to kind of stay away from is if someone can guarantee things, whether any kind of services. Like if someone says they call us for ACT prep and they say, well, hey, can you guarantee my kid will, get this score? No, we can't, because there's so many different factors. How does your kid learn? Will they go home and practice? Will they get a good night's sleep before the day of the test? Will the batteries in their calculator work that day? So no. So if a company says that they can guarantee these things, I don't think so. I don't think that's a good fit. Also, even when it comes to the admission side, yes, we have done extremely well with getting our students, our clients into college. But man, we don't guarantee any of that stuff, because we don't know what the missing factors is. Based off the information that we have in front of me, I can say this looks good. We're going to submit. But there are other factors that I may not know that, that may hinder you. Like, I don't know what your social media maybe like. I may look at it and say, okay, it looks good, and then the next day you do a video that's bad, and you get rejected from the school. So, or they rescind their admission, or their acceptance. Wow. So, we have to take that into factor. So, like, anyone that can guarantee anything, that's just not good.
Okay, so, this is my favorite part of the interview. So, if they want to get in contact with you, what's the phone number, website?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jay Johnson with College Prep U. You can reach us on our website at www.collegeprepu.com. So collegeprepu.com. You can reach us on all social media handles. Instagram is College Prep U. Facebook is College Prep U Trustville. And our telephone number to the office is 205-508-3939. That's 205-508-3939. And if you want to talk to us and you want to reach out to an email, I'll give you my email address. It's jay@collegeprepu.com.
And in Trustville, you're located off of Highway 11, right?
Yep, Trustville. And we're located off Highway 11. We have a virtual, campus as well. So whether you're in the state or out of the state, north of the state, south of the state, we can work with you.
Man, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I appreciate it, for sure.
I can see you coming back in the future, kind of break this stuff down even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're a parent, it's like you said, it's never too late. if you have a child that's in, like you said, 6th or 7th grade, because like they said, it's better to plan early than plan late.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and even if you do plan late, you just gotta catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta catch up. So, thank you all for watching this video. Please check out what'shappenedbirmingham.com for more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube channel, and I'm now on Apple Podcasts, so you can listen to Apple Podcasts when this is over with.
Nice.
Thank y'all again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.